Hello and welcome. It's Kelly Jayne McCann from OrganizingMaven.com. So as we all know, it is really easy to accumulate clutter, and as we also know, it's really challenging to let it go. And why is that? We allow stuff to come into our space without giving it much thought. It's really easy, right? You would think then that it would be really easy to say goodbye to that stuff. But because we have emotions, that's not the case, is it? Emotions substantially complicate the decluttering process. And the emotion that causes us the most grief is guilt. I feel too guilty to let it go. And the reasons for those guilty feelings run the gamut. Everything from, but I paid good money for it, to, well, Aunt Emily, she would just roll over in her grave if she knew I was even contemplating letting that item go. Now, never mind that that item that you paid good money for isn't something that you need. It's not something that you use. Never mind that that item from Aunt Emily isn't something that you like, let alone love. And never mind that Aunt Emily didn't make you promise to hold on to it for all eternity. None of that matters when you're thinking emotionally, when you're feeling that guilt. You're just not thinking rationally at that point. You're thinking purely emotionally. So how can we overcome that emotional thinking? You know what I say? Let's not overcome it. Instead, let's use it to our advantage. Let's look at this decluttering challenge from a different perspective. Instead of allowing that guilt to stand in our way and to hinder us, let's manipulate that guilt so that it's actually helping us let stuff go. Now, before I explain what I mean, I have to offer up this caveat about guilt. I think guilt is one of the most damaging emotions. I think guilt should be reserved for those times when we have done something particularly egregious, when we have harmed somebody, when we have acted in an unjust way. In those cases, feeling guilty is appropriate. I don't think guilt has a place in the clutter clearing world. With that said, I completely understand how tricky it is to manage guilt. So I just want to be really clear that I don't think anybody out there should be feeling guilty either about keeping something or not keeping something. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now and let me explain how you can actually manipulate the guilt that you're feeling. Let's suppose somebody had something that you needed, that you really wanted, that you could really use. Let's suppose that person could easily give it to you. Let's suppose that person no longer has any use for that item, but they're choosing to hold on to it because they feel too guilty letting it go. What would you think about that person? You might think that they're acting a little selfishly. You might think that they're not being very good stewards of their possessions. You might also think that they're missing an opportunity to be helpful. And all of that could be true. When we hold on to things that we no longer need, that we no longer use, that we no longer love, we are effectively missing out on an opportunity to do good. We're missing out on an opportunity to be helpful. So if you're going to be feeling guilty about anything, why not shift that guilt to where you're feeling guilty about not being helpful instead of feeling too guilty to let it go? Do you see what I'm saying? We're shifting that guilt so that it's going to help us let go of our stuff instead of keep us tethered to it. Now, I hope that makes sense. You still got the guilt. Why not use it for good? Okay. If you found this helpful at all, I would love to hear. Use the comment section below. If you are looking for some more support, then I would love for you to pop over to Facebook. We have a fabulous little group over there, Clear Your Clutter, Find Your Helpy, and the link is below.